Today our lesson will be over decimals and fraction equivalency. How do you turn a decimal to a fraction and how do you turn a fraction to a decimal? Mr. Chester surveyed a group of students about their favorite book genre. From the survey, he concluded that 0 and 48 hundredths students selected fiction and 0 and 22 hundredths students selected romance and 3/10 students selected horror. Why horror? They see me every day, so isn't that horror enough to last them a lifetime? Ha ha ha. Out of 25 students, how many would like fiction? So let's go to fiction. It said 48 hundredths like fiction. That means if you had 48 students, 48 out of 100, or 0 and 48 hundredths, like fiction. Can you simplify this? Divide by 2 or divide by 4. Let's see if we divide by 2 first. That'd be 24/50. So out of 50 students, 24 would like fiction. And if you simplify it one more time, 12 students like fiction out of 25 students. Out of 50 students, how many would like romance? So you have 0 and 22 hundredths for romance. That's written as 2200. I mean 100 students, 22 like romance. If you simplify this, both numbers are even, divide by 2, 11 50th. That means 11 students out of 50 will like romance. And last but not least, horror. 3/10 like horror. A lot of people like horror. 3/10 like horror. So out of 10 students, how many would like horror? 3 out of 10. So now that so 3 for horror, 11 out of 50 for romance, and 12 out of 25 for fiction. So what we're going to be focusing is decimals and fractions. Decimal fractions are rational numbers. We're going to have a whole study over rationals soon. Rational numbers are any number that can be written as a fraction. For example, all decimal has a place value. Hundredths, you can write it as a fraction. Hence, they are rational numbers. So let's skip. Let's go to our first screen. How will you write each decimal as a fraction? And then can you simplify it if possible? How would you correctly read this? There's only a couple place values out there. There's tenths, hundredths, and thousands. That's what we focus in 6th grade. So behind a decimal point, there's either tenths, hundredths, or thousands. For example, there are 3 places behind tenths, hundred, thousand. That's a thousandths. This is a hundred. 2 places behind a decimal point. 2 places behind the decimal point, so hundredths. This is 9 and 1/10, so that is a tenth. 0 and 3/10. Now that we have this, can we write these decimal as a fraction? 0 and 4/10. And can you simplify 4/10? Well, both numbers are even, so we can divide both numbers by 2, 2/5. Next one, 35 hundredths. It's in the hundredths place value. Can you simplify this? Whenever you have a number that ends with a 5, usually you can divide by 5, divisible by 5. 7/20. And last but not least, what about this last one? 625 thousandths. Well, we could divide by 5. Can we divide this by anything else? Let's do 25 for now. You can also divide this by even a larger number if you think you know it. So in this one, 625 divided by 5. How many quarters go into 624? 625. Well, we know 4 quarters go in it. So we have, it goes in, 25 goes in 62 2 times. That's 12, bring down to 5. How many quarters go into $1.25? 125. That is, 4 is 100, 5. So it's 25. How many 25s go into 100? See, can 25 go in 100? 4 times, 40. Ooh, I think we can simplify this one more time. You know what? Now that I think about it, I should have divided both numbers by 125. It would have saved me a lot of extra work. How many 5s go into 25? 5. How many 5s go in 40? 8. So 0 and 625,000 can be written as a fraction as 5/8. And let's practice one last example of this using mixed numbers. So we have 12 and 6/10. You will write it as 12, that's a whole number, and 6/10. Can we simplify 12 and 6/10? Can you simplify this decimal into a fraction in simplest term? Well, I know you can divide both of these numbers by 2, so it's 12 and 3/5. So 6/10 can be renamed as 3/5. So 12 and 6/10 is the same as 12 and 3/5. So that's how you turn a decimal into a fraction. You need to know your place value, either tenths, hundredths, and thousand, and then you can simplify it. Now, how do you turn a fraction into a decimal? There's two ways to do it. It's out of 100, or we can divide. I always want to go simple first, out of 100. If it goes into 100, then we'll save a lot of time. For example, 1/4. Does 1/4 go into 100? Does 1/4 go into 100? Think about it. If you have quarters, how many 4s go into 100? Times 25. Times 25. So you're going to multiply 1/4 by 25 over 25. So what is this missing number here? 25 hundredths. So 1/4 is the same as 25 hundredths. And how do you write 25 hundredths as a decimal? 0 and 25 hundredths. If you do not care for the out of 100 way, you can divide them. This really means you have a dollar. You have $1. This fraction bar, people say, oh, it's a fraction. It's also a division bar too. It means 1 divided by 4. Or is there another way to say 1? I want to think of money to help me out. I have a dollar. A dollar. I divide it into 4 equal parts. So each one is 25 cents. That's another way to think of it. So let's try another example. 13/20. Let's do out of 100 for those who like this way. Can 20 go into a hundredths place? If so, times what? Times 5. Times 5. 13 times 5 is 65 hundredths. How do you write 65 hundredths as a decimal? 0 and 65 hundredths. If you do not care out of the hundredths way, maybe you care about dividing. What is 30? You have 13. You want to divide it into $20. So we have $13. Imagine you had $13. I know there's no such thing as a $13 bill. Imagine there's a $13 bill here. And you divide it into 20 parts. So $13 divided by 20. Can 20 go in 1? No. Can 20 go in 13? No. Can 20 go in 130? 6 times. 10, bring down to 0. Can 20 go in 100? 5 times. So 13/20 can be written as a decimal as 65 hundredths. So there, if you have $13 and you divide it into 20 parts, each part is 65 cents, 65 cents, 65 cents, 65 cents, and you get the point. You know what? Let's try one last example, and then we'll do some together. We'll do some individually. Let's do a mixed number. 3 and 2/5. Can fifths go into a hundredths place? Can 5 go into a hundredths place, out of a hundredths place? Yeah, times 20. Times 20. You multiply the numerator by 20. So you have 2 times 20 is 40. So it's 3 and 40 hundredths. How would you write 3 and 40 hundredths as a decimal? 3, decimal point, 40 and 100. Could you also rewrite it as this? Would this be a suitable answer? Let's see. If I took off this 0, that's not really necessary here. Yes, it can be. Or you could annex an extra 0 at the hundredths place. It means it's same. It's equivalent. So let's look at this one. 3 and 2/5. You have a $2 bill. Ooh, $2 bill. You want to divide it into 5 parts. So how much money would each part will get? Is it 40 cents? You know what? Let's check it. Let's divide and just make sure. I have a $2 bill. I divide it into 5 parts. Can it go into 2? No. Decimal point. Can 5 go in 20? 4 times. Can 5 go in 0? 0 times. So it is 40 hundredths. So 3 and 40 hundredths is the equivalent decimal to it. However, not all decimals are terminating. That means they stop. They don't continue forever and ever. They just stop right here and there. We have things that are called repeating decimals, such as 1/3 and 5/6. Let's look at 1/3 first. You have 1/3. Can a 3 go into out of 100? Can it go into 100ths place? Can 3 go into 100? You multiply by 33, that's 99. No, not perfectly. So not really. So let's do the dividing it. You have 1 divided by 3. Another way to say that is you have $1, $1. You want to divide it into 3 parts. How much will each part have? Let's see. Can 3 go into 1? No. Can 3 go in 10? 3 times. Can 3 go in 10? 3 times again. You know what? I'm going to stop right here. It looks as though it's just repeating over and over and over. You know what? I am not going to continue writing this over and over. So is the answer 3,300? No. Because that would be 33 over 100, which is not the same as 1/3, which is less than 1/3. So no. You have to put a repeating bar. Some people put over both of them, but usually I put it on top of one of them. So, which number is repeating over and over? Seems as though 3 is repeating over and over. And so I put a repeating bar right, use a different color so you can even see what I'm doing. Right here. It's repeating. So 1/3 is the same thing as 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, 3, and more 3s. 5/6. You have a $5 bill here. First of all, let's use a shortcut. Can 5/6 go into 100ths place? I don't know any 6s that go into 100. 6 times. No, I don't even know. I don't think it does. It does not, by the way. So let's do our dividing. You have $5 bill. You want to divide it into 6 parts. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So $5 divided into 6 parts. Can 6 go in 5? No. Can 6 go in 50? 8 times. 50 minus 48, 2. I bring down to 0. Can 6 go in 20? 6, 12, 18, 3 times. You know what? I think it's about to repeat again. If I could see a 2 and 2. You know what? If you don't trust me, let's put another 0 just in case. Can 6 go in 20? 3 times. It does repeat. So which digit is repeating over and over here? It looks like the 3 is repeating over and over and over again. So it's 83 hundredths with a repeating bar. Wait, which number is repeating again? It's the 3s are repeating. So it means it's going to be 0.833333333333 forever and ever and ever. This line right here is supposed to be scoot over to the 3. There should not be over to 8. And last but not least, let's look at our last example, 4 and 5/8. Can 8 go into 100ths place? How many 8s go in 100? 8 times 12, that's 96. 8 times 13, 4. No, it does not go to 100ths place. So we're going to have to divide. Oh, another $5 bill. So you have 5. You're going to divide it into 8 parts. So 5. You're going to divide it into 8 parts. $5 divided 8 parts. Can 8 go in 50? 6 times. The remainder is 2. I bring down a 0. Can 8 go in 20? 2 times. The remainder is 4. Does it look like it's about to repeat here? Nope, nothing looks the same, so add another 0. Can 8 go in 40? 5 times. So it's 625,000. That is not a repeating. Nothing repeats it. It's terminate. It stops. So this is our decimal. 5/8 is the same as 625 thousandths. A lot of kids stop saying, I'm done. The answer is 625,000. Ooh, hold up for a few seconds. Isn't there a whole number right here, 4? Isn't there a whole number here, 4? So do you mean the answer is 4 and, what is the decimal equivalency of 5/8? 625,000. So let's quickly do 2 examples and we're done here. So we have 25, 11/25. Does this go into a hundredths place? Yeah, it does. By how many? Times what? You're multiplying by 4. So 25 times 4 is hundredths place. 11 times 4 is 44. And how do you say 44 hundredths as a decimal? 0 and 44. If you do not care for this way, any preference, you could divide it. You have an $11 bill. You're going to divide it into 25 parts. Well, you don't have an $11 bill. You have $11. You're going to divide it into 25 parts. Can 25 go in 11? No. Can 25 go 110? It goes 4 times. That's 100. Remainder is 10. I bring down to 0. Can 25 go in 100? 4 times again. We move this down. Does this terminate? It does. So the answer is 44 hundredths. Let's go look at our last example. Can 9 go into a hundredths place? 9 times 9 is 81. 9 times 10 is 90. 9 times 11 is 99. No, it doesn't go into a hundredths place. That's okay. You have a $2 bill. You want to divide it into 9 equal parts. Divide. Okay, this means divide. Can 9 go to 20? Goes in 2 times. Remainder is 2. I bring down to 0. Can 9 go in 20? 2 times. Ooh, I forgot my decimal point there. 2. Hold up. Is this repeating over and over and over? I could keep on going, but it looks like I'm going to do the exact same thing. Repeating bar. What's repeating? The 2 over and over. So this answer is really 0 and 22, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2, 2. Forever and ever. Here's a question. Is 0 and 22 hundredths the same as 0 and 2, 2 with a repeating bar? It is not. Because this terminates. 22 hundredths is really the fraction of 1150. And 0 and 22 with a repeating bar is 29. Do they look the same? No. Plus, if I add another 2 here, and I add a placeholder right here, which one is greater? 222 thousandths or 220,000? This one is greater. So be careful. Those repeating bars are essential. So the main thing we talked about in turning a decimal or fraction decimal is, do you know your place value? If they give you a decimal, do you know that this is in the hundredths place? And can you simplify it back to its original form, parent fraction? If they give you a fraction, can you turn it into a decimal? You can do it out of a hundredths place, or you can divide it. $2, remember this means division bar, $2 divided by 9. If it repeats forever and ever, do not forget those repeating bars. And this is the study of decimals and fractions.